Before I get started decorating my egg, I'm going to strengthen it a little bit with some tissue paper and Mod Podge. As you can see, the edge here got a little mangled, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Mod Podge over that, the inside and outside, gently. And then I'm going to add a few layers of tissue paper and let that dry completely. And I'm going to actually go around the entire egg to try to shore that up just a little bit and smooth out those jagged edges. When the edge of the egg is dry, I'm going to coat the inside of the egg with some light blue paint. I'm going to make mine look like a sky. Of course, you can do whatever you want inside the egg, but I like to make it look like the sky, and once this is dry, I'll paint some white clouds as well. Now I'm using white paint to paint some clouds in the sky of my egg. And you can decide if you want your egg to be vertical or horizontal. Now that the interior is dry, I'm going to move on to the outside of the egg, which I'm going to paint, well, I guess it's still a little wet, but I'm going to paint this kind of a pale green. And just paint a coat or two on the outside of the egg and let that dry. Now that the egg is dry, I'm going to use some Posca paint pens to add some decoration to the exterior, and then I'll move to the interior of the egg. So let's get started with some just fun paint pen decoration. I'm also going to use some paint pen around the edge of the egg. I'm going to put some trim here, but I think it looks nice to have a little bit of a paint accent before you put the trim on the egg. So I usually just do kind of a simple rounded, kind of like a scalloped edge. I'm now going to add a little bit of trim to the edge of my egg. This might be tricky, but I'm going to try to use this twine. I just like the way that looks. So you want to make sure that you start your twine or trim at the bottom of your scene. So if I look at my egg, the clouds are up here at the top. So this is going to be the bottom of my diorama egg. So I'm going to start my glue right here. And the best advice I can give you is just go really slowly. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Stop. And then start my twine. If you have glue blobs, don't worry about it because you can go back and trim those out. So I have found when I start trying to address the glue, I make a bigger mess. So we're just going to be patient with that. Okay. So again, just to really patiently go all the way around the egg and then meet up at that spot where the two pieces of twine meet again at the bottom of the egg. I apologize, it's hard to talk and do at the same time. My brain not that sophisticated. Okay, so keep going around the egg and then you're going to finish right here. Now that I'm at the end, I'm going to continue to glue around. And when I get here, I will keep this and cut it right where the two pieces meet so that I don't have a big lump at the bottom. As you can see, I decided to put another layer of the twine around the edge of the egg. So next, I'm just going to go in and try to kind of clean up some of the glue blobs that I might have left along the way. And if you don't like the way the string looks or the trim looks where it meets up, just keep in mind you could put a little bow there or a little flower. So don't worry too much about that. If it's not super neat and tidy, you'll be able to fix that as you go. Start with putting some grass down on the bottom of the egg. Just give it a nice circle of hot glue and smush the grass into the egg. I'm going to put a chicken inside, and I've chosen this chunky rooster. And I'll just put a nice blob of glue on the bottom and squish him in to the egg. I'm now going to put some glue on that blob right there and put a little bow on the front just to kind of cover that up. I don't really like the way that looks. Just going to trim the bow just a hair. Now I need to have a way to hang my egg. So on the top, I'm going to use, first I'll cut a piece of trim or twine that I want to use as my hanger. Make sure the edges are fairly even. And just hold those closely together. You're going to put a dot of glue on the egg and then lay this on top of that blob of glue. So make sure you get your glue blob in the center of the top of the egg so that it will hang straight. Just a nice, and then lay those on top, holding until that firms up. Now to cover up that blob, I like to use additional flowers, and you can cut tiny flowers into, just cut them short so that you can glue them together if you choose. You can, I'd use 3 of these small sunflowers, and I'm going to glue them around this area so that they kind of hide that part of the egg. All right, so let's get some glue on there. And then make sure you've got the string up and you've got room for 1 more flower, and you may just want to put a big blob of glue right there and put that in there so that you have all 3 flowers. And now you're ready to go.